Hey tankers, and welcome to a very Christmassy World of Tanks with PR154. And today we are joining Phantom-Yamato of the VAM clan in the Tier 10 German tank destroyer Grille 15. Now, like many tank destroyers, this is a weapon that is all about the gun. You've got a 15cm main armament, and that's capable of knocking 750 hit points off your vehicle, preferably an enemy's vehicle. It does so with backed up by 279mm of penetration, which is quite decent. And if that's not enough, you can always switch it up to the heat shells for 334mm of penetration. The high explosive shells aren't too bad either. They hit for 950 hit points and penetrate for 75mm. So for that sort of penetration value, you're probably best relegating that to lighter skinned vehicles such as light tanks and self-propelled guns. And although even that order of penetration has been known to disappoint on occasion in the new high explosive meta, unless you're very confident of a penetrating hit. But I guess that's what Grille 15 is all about. It's about the confidence of landing those hits. It boasts a precision value that is very high, a base accuracy of 0.26 meters per 100 meters. That is really good. Phantom also tells me that he's been able to tune this down to 0.22 meters per 100 meters, and perhaps he's showing off a little bit here, but we can see how this gun sight is tracking against the friendly Type 61, and just seeing how confined that aiming circle is. Now, fortunately, we don't need to use a friendly target. We can use a live one, and we demonstrate that with fantastic first shot accuracy against the Kranvan. 750 hit points into the side of the turret. They'll be feeling that one tomorrow. So having a look at the deployment, most of the enemy vehicles appear to have pulled into the town in sort of F6, F7. There's a couple of Tier 10 mediums that are also contesting the castle. I haven't seen any enemy vehicles up there yet, so most enemy force taking Phantom-Yamato's side of the river in the town. We notice there aren't any light vehicles in this match, so we've got medium tanks subbing in, hence the Type 61 that's working the ridgeline in front. Which hopefully in that process they can keep that cupola mobile. That's sort of one of the things that really prevents the Type 61 from being an effective hull down fighter, unlike the STB-1 that follows it. The STB-1 and Object 430U have encountered a bit of resistance on the hillside in the form of a UDES-16. Kranvan making an appearance on the opposite side of the building. They're thinking, oh, maybe I can avoid taking some fire if I poke out this side. Possibly not the case, as Phantom's able to draw a bead and land the shot once again. This has left that Kranvan in a very sad state for the rest of this game. 14 hit points, really a stiff breeze at this point in time. We'll send them back to the garage. Unfortunately, when we're commentating tank destroyer replays, they can get a little static and a little campy. That's kind of the nature of the gameplay. You can't be too impatient with a sneaky sniper tank destroyer, otherwise you can very quickly find yourself playing out of role and out of position, which doesn't help your team so much. The friendly Grille 15 is able to put a rather meaty hit into the Char Future 4. So that Tier 9 medium tank has been sort of probing the 9-0 line, as you would expect a lightish medium vehicle to do. We're not quite sure if there's any vehicles behind it that it's spotting for. But certainly there are 3 vehicles covering this flank. Potentially they might only be covering it against one Tier 9 enemy vehicle, in which case it's potentially quite a disastrous waste of guns. You can see the Kranvan is still continuing to hover around the F6, F7 sort of area, although it has not stayed still quite long enough for Phantom-Yamato to land a reliable shot. Unfortunately, they have lost their forward scout from the Type 61. Not that Grille 15 is incapable of self-spotting. The only problem is, amongst the turreted tank destroyers at tier 10, which there aren't that many actually. There's T110E4 and Stridsvan 103B. Unfortunately, it has the worst concealment rating. Yeah, I know. Even worse than that big, meaty, friggin' American thing. Grille 15 has the worst concealment rating. So you probably stand every chance of being able to spot your own food and land a penetrating hit, although you may indeed lack the ability to follow through. So you're really hoping that if something's going to attack them, it's going to be less than 1,500 hit points, and both Phantom-Yamato and his friend in the other Grille 15 can knock them out with those two shots. All we've seen thus far is the Shah Future 4, which is now only 299 hit points left. So you'd like to think that the other Grille 15 should be able to handle things from here. Again, it doesn't appear that any of these vehicles have received any damage. The Shah Future 4 is not really it's not really resulting in any spotting damage, which may be indicative that there's nothing behind it. So at this point in time, it may be prudent for Phantom-Yamato to reconsider their options and relocate, and that's exactly what they're doing. We can see that the STB-1 and the Object 430U have been able to make a few gains in the castle at the bottom, perhaps with some tank destroyer support behind them, such as from the gun of the Grille 15. They might have the confidence to sort of push forward and push into the back line, push into the K line, and start really messing up some of the rearguard vehicles, such as the enemy 212A, the self-propelled gun. Which it looks like that SPG has already claimed 1 kill so far this game, so we have to treat it as a legitimate threat. And not 30 seconds after relocating, we have our first opportunity, and Phantom's able to land a very meaty hit into the K91 PT. That's a Tier 9 Soviet reward tank destroyer from the last season of Battle Pass. Unfortunately, not able to reload in time. Trying to line up, a bit of a pixel snipe there, doesn't quite pay off despite all the tuning that Phantom has done to the gun on this vehicle. But it's continuing to play that corner. We can still see the penetrating indicator telling us good things. It's not quite reflected in the gunnery though. We managed to bounce that. Can we send it back to the garage? 4th time lucky. There we go. And Phantom is able to pick up his first kill of the game. So with the K91 PT cleared out, they'll move to reunite with the 2 Tier 10 mediums. So we've got the STB-1 and we've got the Object 430U. Both those tanks are probably looking for shots of opportunity on the vehicles in the middle of town. Unfortunately, it's just the AE Phase 1 that's stemming the tide there, and it's doing so against the VK4502B, which is quite a powerful vehicle when played from a side scrape. Gunattenwerfer Tiger's been able to knock out the Kranvan that Phantom had been withering down earlier in the game. Unfortunately, the T110E4 has also knocked out the friendly STB-1, and that just leaves the Object 430U guarding the castle. So Phantom decides to take the initiative and push the 1 line hard, so trying to get into the enemy's K line, into its back line. And what happens, but he manages to chance upon the Shah Future 4 that his teammate in the Grille 15 had been zeroing earlier in the game, and manages to send him back to the garage. Now at this point in time, we notice that Phantom's been able to make a little bit of personal mission progress. He is doing TD-15, Triumph. He needs to cause 6,000 hit points of damage to enemy vehicles and claim 5 kills and win the game. Now, with shutting down the Tier 9 Soviet self-propelled gun 212A, he's been able to get up to his 3rd kill, and he's only 2,500 hit points left on his goal and 2 kills. There's still 4 enemy vehicles left in the game, so a lot of potential opportunity here. Just playing it cool for now to see if the enemy retreats out of the city. that probably wouldn't be the smartest move for them under the circumstances. The tank counts are even. The Phantom's team also has a self-propelled gun, so it's not going to be a massive sink of hit points. It's also the enemy is probably also reasonably aware that the Grille 15 is also in their rear guard. So considering their options, what's in front, they've probably got the Grille 15, Granatenwerfer Tiger, and the Object 430U, wherever that is. We can probably assume at this point in time that the 430U has been proximity spotted by the VK4502B. So the enemy, looking at that and thinking about this critically, is probably more than likely going to go for the cap. The Stridsvagn 103, as it turns out, was on the 0 line, and it's got the friendly Grille 15 in between it and the back line. So I'm not quite sure how they're envisaging that turning out. Phantom-Yamato pushes forward and is able to find the T110E4. It's still playing the bushes. It was probably trying to get an opportunistic shot on the Grille 15, which he does actually happen to do at that very moment. Unfortunately, Phantom managing to miss out on saving his teammate by fractions of seconds. He was hanging out for that lower frontal plate shot on the T110E4, but was not super confident of being able to make it in that instance. Now, bearing in mind that Phantom-Yamato has actually got 1800 hit points available to him, so he does have the hit points to eat a couple of rounds, even from the likes of T110E4. The T110E4, on the other hand, has less than 330 hit points left, so is in a highly one-shottable state for Phantom-Yamato. So they do have to be a little bit careful about this. We know the Stridsvagn 103 has free reign basically from the 0 line there, and of course one of your favourite things to do if you're in a stealthy tank destroyer on that side of the map, you get up into the windmill there at D9, and you can really start to cause some havoc firing in between the spots in the building. In this instance, they've been able to knock out the Granatenwerfer Tiger as it's tried to pull back. Granatenwerfer Tiger has appears to be pinging the map, indicating that the Stridsvagn is on the A line. That may just give Phantom the chance to get in and knock out this T110E4 somewhat unmolested by the Swede. We know that he can probably eat a round. Moving in, and he does eat a round. And why is my frame rate buggering out like that? Ugh. All right, sorry about that one, folks. Hopefully that will return to normal fairly soon. Right, so the Stridsvagn 103 has been touching the cap circle, but it's elected to travel through at full speed. Unfortunately, it's taking a little bit of time to get out of trouble mode. It looks like that's cost them rather dearly there, and Phantom-Yamato's been able to get the complete drop on it. Gun traverse on the Stridsvagns is obviously highly limited. It's limited by your ability to turn the tracks. As Grille 15 has absolutely no problem in continuing to punish the Stridsvagn. So that is game for Phantom-Yamato, and let's just see here is TD-15 Triumph. He has been able to reach his damage goal. In fact, he's just managed to get roughly 200 hit points over his damage goal of 6,000 hit points inflicted. So there's a tick. He's been able to destroy 5 enemy vehicles since our last report, had been able to knock out the T110E4 and the Stridsvagn 103. And of course, we've got this big lettering on the screen indicating victory. So that is a TD-15 completion with honours for Phantom-Yamato for the T-55A. Let's take a look at the other results there. So very nicely done there by Phantom. He's got a well-deserved Ace Mastery badge for his troubles there. Also a couple of these epic medals have got high caliber for accounting for at least 20% of the hit point pool of the enemy team, which at coming in with nearly 6,200 damage, you'd reasonably expect him to have picked that up. He's also picked up the Tanker Sniper medal for accounting for the most damage of a distance of at least 300 meters. We've also picked up a few of these badges of merit as well. Demolition Expert for the ammo racking destruction of the Tier 9 Soviet SPG-212A. He's got the Duelist medal for destroying 2 enemy vehicles that have caused damage to his vehicle in turn, which we can reasonably anticipate with the T-110E4 and the Stridsvan 103. He's also got the Fighter medal for inflicting at least 4 up to a maximum of 5 kills on the enemy. So very nice medal to have. And of course the Fire for Effect medal for doing at least his 1800 hit points in damage, which is obviously collected with interest. Having a look at the team scores, is actually HVS or HVS in the Object 430U that took out top honours, having collected over 4,000 hit points of damage, taken 4 kills, and I imagine that was also backed up by a fair bit of spotting damage. Yeah, look at that, nearly 2,300 of spotting damage, whereas Phantom, playing to his role, might have been a lot of that damage accrued may well have been spotted by others, but that's okay. That you would totally and reasonably expect that from a Grille 15 playing to its role. Special mention to the T-110E4 on the enemy team, nearly 6,000 hit points of damage inflicted. They would have been a little bit sore about losing that one, but they've certainly played to the best of their ability that game, and a very tight result overall. Having a look at the detailed report, we've had a couple of wins here between we've got battle missions, we've got personal mission accruals, so that's accounted for about 52,000 additional credits there. It was a bit of an expensive game on the consumables here. We can see we're down 40,000 credits just on the consumables. So once you take out the effects of the battle payments and the personal missions payout, you wouldn't have actually made a profit this game, but when you're knocking over personal campaign missions for the T-55A with honours, who really cares about making a profit? In fact, who cares about making a profit at Tier 10 anyway? Certainly not for the amount of gold I receive at Tier 10. Anyway, I digress. So many thanks to Phantom-Yamato for submitting this replay to us, and a very Merry Christmas to you all, and thank you very much for supporting the channel through 2021, and I look forward to your support through 2022. And if you'd like to share any replays that you'd like to put out to the community through World of Tanks with PR154, please get in touch at any of the links below, Discord probably preferred, and we'll see what we can do for you. In the meantime, stay safe over the holiday break and take care out there.